Sup, my little postlings. I hope you guys are having a good day today. I'm just gonna do actual reviews of some of the games that I own. I will tell you what I think's good about them, what I think's not. Maybe you want to buy them, maybe you don't. Let's just get into this. Sup, bossers! Thank you for joining me today. We are looking at Dune Spice Wars. I don't know if it's Dune or Dune. This is one of my games that I thoroughly enjoy, and the reason I thoroughly enjoy it is I've only played a little bit, but I played mostly Skirmish when it first came out. Now the company that made this, I believe, is the same one that made Northgard and War Tales. Now I played Northgard, I got about 1,000 hours into it, so I know all about their conquest mode. So when this first came out, you had basically Skirmish. And Skirmish and Conquest and dual modes are slightly different, so I'm going to go through them. Now, when I first got this, you had these 4 races you could play with. House Atreides, these are basically the good guys who get screwed over by the Emperor, if you haven't seen the movie. This is Harkonnen, these are basically the bad guys. They're all about oppression and war, basically. These are smugglers. They're like a trade guild. These are the Fremen. These are basically a native to the planet of Dune. They just want to live. And everyone's coming here to nick the spice, which is what they use to fuel their starships. Now, I haven't played these 3 houses. This is a DLC, which is a new one out. And these 2 are in the game. I haven't played as them, but I know these little a-holes have 2 main cities, and they have messed me up on one of the maps before because they are mean. In Skirmish, you can be the smugglers and the Fremen. In the Conquest, you cannot. You can only be the official houses. Now the duel, which is the last option on the right, then is just one house versus another house. Other games, they have diplomatic and economic victories. When it comes to RTSs, 99% of the time you never do them. You just build an army, run to the enemy base, kill it, you win. In this, you cannot do that, especially at the beginning. So I'm going to explain why, but I'll also explain why I like this game. So each house has their own strengths. So these guys are all about the war. These guys are all about diplomacy, I'd say. So we're going to go in and have a look at House Atreides. So these guys are all about diplomacy. These are basically, in the movies, they're the good guys. So you can pick in a conquest what house you're against. Me personally, I'll just leave it as random. So go into a conquest and we'll take a look.
The moment has come, sire. The conquest of Arrakis is ready to begin. The men are in good spirits, but they're uneasy. They don't know what to expect in a world so different from their own. Men who know only oceans and skies must now fight for control of a world covered in desert. Even so, I can promise they will follow you, no matter what you decide to do. Under your command, they will make this world into a new home for House Atreides.
Oh, wonderful, 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 wonderful. Right, this is the conquest map. You win by taking on a mission, win the mission, and then keep doing that until you take over. So these are your rival houses. This is Hucken. I'm going to call them Baron Boys. And this is Vernus. That's the DLC one. I haven't played it, don't know that much about it. We'll find out during the fight. Right, so I've got to defeat these 2 houses. And I've got to own all 8 of the territories in order to win the conquest. And I have to ally with the Fremen. Now, the reason why you cannot be the Fremen in Conquest is because they are actually a part of the game. And if you look at some of the bonuses you can get, I have not got one of these bonuses to get. I've practiced on a couple of stages. I got my butt kicked. I didn't understand how to win diplomatic victory, and I got my butt kicked to it. And I decided to grab. I played it like a normal RTS. That's why you cannot go into this with a mindset as a normal RTS. It's actually deeper than that, and it's one of the things I like about it. So you start every game with the nearest Sech revealed. Starts each game with 2 warriors. That's if you have it at 25% relationship. The Sech on the stage are, think of them as like nomads. They're randomly scattered about. If you trade with them, they help you. They normally have a quite cool resource they give you. Sometimes it's water, sometimes it's knowledge. But they're pretty cool. Having them on your side, there's no disadvantages. Not having them on your side, well, I don't know if there's a disadvantage. I think they just randomly attack you. Because our little random units that will come out of the desert to randomly fight you. I think it's them. Like I said, I've only had a base go with this. So you get your primary objective. This is what you get for winning the stage. This will accompany you throughout your entire conquest. There's normally one knowledge. That gives you the first one of each of the knowledge trees. I'd say that's the best one to get. This is your secondary rewards. These are, you don't have to do them, but if you do them, you get bonuses, and you get pressure regresses by 5%. This is a pressure gauge that is every time you are fighting and doing stuff. This goes up, as well as your Fremen. If you make them your friends, this will go up, and this will go up. Now, because I've only played a couple of games, and I got my butt kicked. I didn't find out what it was because I died before it became a necessity. But there you go. Now, in this game, there is another faction which is not shown in the thing. It's the Emperor. You have to give taxes to the Emperor. Now, I don't know what happens if you don't. Like, I know you get slight negatives. I don't know what happens if you keep not doing it. I don't know if they just increase or whether his troops turn up. Because in the movie, they turn up and they help the baddies to beat up the goodies, basically. So the secondary mission isn't as important. I would try to get it because it gives you bonuses, and he doesn't want them. But the primary is the most important one. Right. These are your advisors. You can always pick 2. Now, some of them are hard. Like these 2 are the hard ones. These 2 are the easy ones. From what I gather, it just makes the game easier because you're getting starting stuff that is easier. So like, he gives you agents +1 additional trait. That's not going to be that helpful until later on in the fight. She helps you with influence and stuff like that. Truces that can't be broken. Again, that's not going to be helpful till later on. Whereas the easy guys are literally, they make the game easier throughout. So +2 knowledge production is basically research throughout the entire game. +10% max health. +30% regeneration speed. He gives you +2 authority for ally Sitch. Allowing a Sitch refills other Sitches. And any Sitch refills, you start off with +30 relationship with them. So I always pick those 2. Oh, always. I've only had a couple of games.
I reviewed the reports the Harkonnens sent to the Spacing Guild before they left. They reveal that this territory was harvested up to the last minute. We should find resources there that will prove valuable in the conquest of Arrakis.
Now, the reason I paused that as soon as it started is because of this. This is your tax that you owe the Emperor. If you do not give him 80, when that goes all the way around, you'll get negatives. This is your on-fotter. These guys, you can set them on automatic. They go around, they reveal everything on the map. but I do it each slowly. Each area, so this is one area, this is my area. Each area has its own village plus a bonus thing. These guys will go and investigate and find them, so you can send them off on their own. First thing I suggest you do is pause it, so you're not wasting out and you're not running out of time. And then look on your map to see where you are. So I'm in the top left corner-ish. You can start anywhere on this map. This is the map. This is all Fog of War. And your enemies are out there somewhere. Now what sometimes happens in these sort of games is people will quickly build up an army. Boom, boom, boom. And they're going to do a rush tactic. You cannot do that in this game. One of the reasons why I like it. So I'm going to tell my Onfopter go build this area. Because this is my spice field. That's where I'm going to get that stockpile built up. Pay the Emperor off. That's so 70% of what I make is going to be going into the stockpile. 30% will be sold in the open market to make me gold. You can increase or decrease this however you want. Up to you. To begin with, until I get that original 80, I leave it on 70%. These are your resources. You got Solari. I don't know if I'm pronouncing these right, because I've only ever seen the film like in the 80s, and then I saw the remake a couple of years back, which is pretty good. This is Solari. This is basically your gold. Plus 76 is what I'm getting each turn. The more buildings you have in this game, the more it's going to go down, as well as water will go down. I'll get onto the water in a minute. Building too many buildings at the beginning will kill you very, very quickly. Same as grabbing as much territory and everything you see in the beginning will get you killed. You need to think in this game, which I didn't do, which is why I got killed. This is your plastics. This is for making buildings, upgrades, stuff like that. Now this is your manpower. This is what your pool is to make your troops, to make your workers who work inside your spice machine. The more workers you have, the better. I haven't used the fuel soil yet because I've only had a couple of goes on this. And this is your water. Now, currently I've got 5 and it supplies 150. When your troops go out, the further away they go from your base, so this is my territory, if they leave this territory, they start losing supplies. When they lose supplies, and they've got 0 supplies left, they will start to die. That's why supplies are really important. So the more water you have, bigger supplies. That is why your supplies are so important. It also stops you running across the map through multiple territories. Say like the enemy was down here, I would not be able to run my troops straight down to his base. They would die before they ever get there. That's why you need to capture other territories in order to make your way down. Now I'm also building a second Onfopter because you need a secondary one. You need one for your harvester and one to go looking for stuff. And I'm going to build my troops and one ranged. Hand-to-hand combat troops will kill ranged troops off very quickly. So when you get into a fight, you want your hand-to-hand combat troops to try and get to the ranged troops. Kill them off. These are heavy squads. They damage the armor. So it makes these guys weaker for you to pick them off. And you've got other troops. Right, let's, we're going to build a couple of these just so I can show you how they capture villages. Right, now I've got my 2 little troopers.
Taking position.
As you command.
These guys are hand-to-hand combat. Now you've got your attack, which is 70. You've got your health, which is 550. You've got your armor, which is 6. Speed, 6. More importantly, your supplies. These tick down whenever you're not in your territory. So as I run from here to this town to attack it, that's going to be ticking down. Now I've got enough to get there and hold the town. However, if it was like here and my troops had to run down here, by the time they got there, they'd run out of supplies and they basically die. In the movie, if you don't have water, you die because it's a desert planet. fact they've integrated this into the game, I actually find that's really cool. And this is my ranged unit. Attack 90, 440 health, 1 armor. So that means they attack the hand-to-hand combat, they're going to die very quickly. 151 supplies. And this is if you want to shuttle people about. This is used by an airfield. I will show you that once I've captured the city. You need to capture the city. And I'll go through what all these things are up here.
Awaiting command.
Right, so when you approach a city, you'll fight its inhabitants. These are the people who live in the city. These are the defenders. They're not as strong as your guys, so you will overpower them. When you take a city, you can then build them as a defense. So they defend your city while you're out doing other stuff. This is how much it's going to cost to take the village. The further the village is away from your base, the more it's going to cost in authority. Authority is another resource in the game. So you got plastics for building, you got manpower, which has gone down because I created those units. You got the water, which you're gonna need for the village in a minute. Then you got authority. The more villages you take, so I take this village next. It's going to cost me more than it did to take the original village, and the next one afterwards would cost more. The next one afterwards would cost more. And the next one afterwards would cost more. This stops you from just grabbing every village you see, which will get you killed and is a really bad idea. Now these are randomly on the map. Each area has them. Sometimes they'll appear as you're doing things. 2 ways to collect these. You can hire them. So it costs me 1,000 if I chose that one. Or I can use an agent, which is one of my spies. I'm going to get onto spies in a little while. But that's one of the things spies can do, which is have an interaction with them. And normally you can just run a military unit into most of them. It all depends. There's different ways of getting it, but most of them have a different way of doing it for the agents. So if you do not have an agent free, you cannot get that knowledge. But I can run a unit there to get 415 gold. Right, now to beat the guys who are defending the base, the militia, this is where it costs you in authority. Now if you do not have the authority to take this, as you can see, my guys have lost supplies getting here, which is food, water, that kind of thing. When you're in this screen and the city's under siege, you will not lose supplies. Your guys will stand here, but you will not lose any supplies as long as that green circle is around my guys. So you click on that, and that means you're going to take the city when that gets to the top now. Now I have the city, I can build 2 building slots. The first thing I'm going to build is the harvester, because this is a spice city. This is where you would build the militia if you wanted to. These are better fighters than the guys they had. The guys they had were these ones, which was 4 armor. These guys have 6 armor. These guys have 55 attack. These guys have 65 attack, but they cost more. I normally do 2 hand-to-hand combats and 1 ranged. You do get cities that have more slots, but it all depends on the size of the city. These are quirks. All the towns, every other different town has different quirks. You can get buildings that amplify the quirks, that make them better. But you should read what the quirks are. So minus 40 building construction costs. New building slots minus 40 in this village. So it's going to cost me cheaper to build in it. And this is normally 100. It's going to cost me 60 of the plascrete. Plus 10 resources from pillaging villagers and sitches. I've hardly ever attacked those guys. More of a headache. Right, so this is your economics, military, and statecraft. this is one of the most important ones, which is your refinery. These are the guys that goes and collects the spice. Now you can see it requires 2 water. Every time you build a building, you use your water. The more this goes down, the least these guys can travel with their suppliers. So if you take too many buildings or you get into a negative, that's gonna really get you killed fast. Each building costs water. Every building. That That one doesn't. That one produces water. That is one of the other most important buildings. What this does is it does +1 for wind strength. So it's got that 2 there. So that would give me 2 water. Not that great. That's kind of like if in an emergency. What you want is between 3 and 6. I think 6 is the highest. This is one of the things you have to keep an eye on when you're building. This isn't like other RTSs where you can just take a town and build what you want in it. You have to think of what you're building. Now this military building is the missile battery. This will fire, see that white circle? Anything within there. So if I had a village here and a village there, and I put this, and both villages were covered, it would cover both villages in the fight. It's one of the ways you can do your defenses. However, you do not want to put these down. One, you've got the gold upkeep, which is 9. More importantly is the water upkeep. Later on, you can put these around nearly all your cities. In the beginning, if you do this, financially, this will mess you up very quickly. Which is what I did because I played it like a normal RTS. Build defenses around all your cities. That will go against you. What you need to do is kind of cluster your cities. Say like I had these 3. I'd consider them one cluster. Because I'm in the corner, the enemies are going to come from one side. Each house will come from one side and you'll get random desert attacks. So I don't need to defend this entire area because I've got these guys here who are round about. They can defend this area. So I don't need loads of missiles. And I can pretty much defend this whole area. You've also got your main base. That other white circle is to do with airfield. So I had this area and I had this area as well. I would not put airfields in all of these because it's not worth it. I'd pick one in the middle like that one. Then I'd put an airfield there. And so I had like all this area here. And I'd put another airfield here. The reason being I can jump from here to here with just 2 airfields. And that saves me financially a lot of money. Plus, I can run from here to all these areas. Same as here. I can run from here to all these areas. So I don't need airfields in every single one. Airfields will cost you a bomb as well. You need to think before you put buildings down because airfields have an upkeep. Missiles have an upkeep. These buildings have an upkeep. Every single thing has an upkeep. And that's what got me killed the first time was the upkeep. Now this, for instance, gives me more manpower. At the beginning, you will need it. Later on, you won't need it as much. The reason being is that you'll build multiple of these throughout your cities and you'll balance it economically. So you'll have a high manpower. Later on missions that I normally have like full manpower most of the time until you start fighting. Because your enemies are not going to rush you, not going to run in and start fighting you. It's going to be like 10, 15, I'd say at least 10, 15 minutes before you need to really worry about the enemies. Because in other RTSs, that tactic works, attacking the enemy. It won't actually work. I know it sounds a bit weird, but it won't work. So you put down your harvester in wherever's got spice, and you want to aim for 2 of these spice fields. So within the next 2 times I pay that off, I want to have another spice field. Now this is your knowledge tree. Think of it research. None of these are bad. There is none of these that you do not need. You kind of need all of them, but the way this game is, you will not max out, or I haven't maxed out all of these by the time you win. So this is resource. This adds to all the buildings you've got. -1 water upkeep, -30% salary upkeep for your buildings. So these are all quite vital. This is diplomacy for your governorship. That's a separate winning condition. I'm going to go through all of them, but there are multiple ways to win this game, which is why it's hard. So again, these are necessary if you're going for that kind of victory. This is more infrastructure based, so I'd say -70% airfields is very important, and that one +1 water control per village. Now out of all these, I get that and that one, which is +10 water overall. I find these two the most important two for your starting out. The military to me wasn't that important until I played with the Harkons, the bad guys, the Barons, the red ones. They seem to rely on this a lot more. But that's just my experience. Now in this game, you don't have to go a set way. Military, diplomacy, you can choose any way you want to. So now we've built our harvester. This is our harvester. They will go out into this purple spice patch and collect it. They bring it back here, turns it into a resource. You pay off your emperor's debt with tax, and then you sell the excess to make gold. Now you can also trade this with other houses, which is what I found was one of the best things to do with it. So I make a little bit of money. I still stock it up. Once I've gone past what I need to pay the emperor's tax, I'll look at the other houses.
How can I help?
Love the earrings. And then I will use it to get what I need. Plascrete is one of the, I'd say one of the most important ones for you to get. So when you trade, because I'm asking him for Plascrete and I'm not giving him anything, it's going to be negative. If I give him stuff without asking for anything, it's going to be positive. I'm asking him for 10. I'm not giving him anything. I'm going to give him a little bit of gold. He says, nah, not quite. I want a bit more. Once it's above, it doesn't matter if it's 1 or 2. The more higher it is, the more chance they've got of agreeing with it. But it all depends on what you value and what they value. So for instance, he wants spice. I don't have spice. If I had spice, he'd offer me more for it. If it had a red one, negative, he values it less. So it's not as important. And you can use all the resources. You can sell influence, intel. I haven't sold an agent. I haven't brought an agent, so I don't know why that's doing that. But you can do gold and plascrete and spice. These are your agreements. You can also trade that. These have upkeeps. This one, for instance, is -10 authority. That stays while that's in agreement. However, I'd get +2 research and +20 research speed. So before you sign these, you got to make sure that you can afford it with the authority. So if you're going to go and get loads of other towns, which you need your authority for, you obviously can't sign those agreements and put yourself into a negative. You need to have enough so that you can spread out more. So this is the second Omphopter I built, which is a helicopter. Now, in this mode, they will get +100 spice gathering rate when sandworms are in the area. Now, a sandworm will eat your harvester and destroy it, which will cost you a fortune. So you don't want that to happen. So right now you can only go into green mode. However, if I select an on-fopter and it's not doing anything, I'll tell it to go to the harvester. I can now put my harvester in safe mode. What this will do is this will follow the harvester about. It will keep an eye on the desert for the sandworms. When it sees a sandworm, it will say, "Oi, sandworm," and they get your harvester out of there, and your harvester will survive.
Yes, sir.
So I'm going to deploy this now. It's very important you deploy this. If you do not deploy your harvester, it will just sit there. That little ship's going to take my harvester out to the spice field so it can gather spice. But that on-fopter will keep an eye on him the whole time, and whenever a sandworm tries to eat the harvester, it will call that little transport down and it will pick up your harvester and take it to safety until the worm goes away. Now, I have 0 crew. These are extra people that are helping. But for 40 manpower, I can get another crew member. This increases spice gathering. And you can get research later on that increases that even more. So you can have more and more people, which means more spice production. I'm going to increase this to 90% so I can get up to 80. So I'll make sure I pay that first tax off. Now, I might not seem that much, missing 1 or 2 taxes. It does add up very quickly. And you don't want to annoy the Emperor. Now, in this town, I can build more stuff. Now, you don't have to build in the towns. So, something like a research hub, I wouldn't build until I've got a few towns, and I'll make sure that I actually need it. Open up more and more building slots. That's up to you. But this is basically what you do. You slowly get villages. You slowly move on. Now, sometimes in an area, he'll have something like this. This means my factories that make plasticrete get 100% bonus. So I definitely want to put one there. And same as processing plant will get extra Solaria protection there. And this is what I mean. You don't need to spread out straight away to all these other cities, because grabbing cities as fast as you can will go against you very quickly. I found that out the hard way. Now this area here has this red negative on it, right? What this does is this uses up plus 200 supplies, so your troops lose supplies quicker, they move slower. So running through here to here, they will probably die. I'm pretty sure they'll die, like 99% certain they would die. Even like nipping through to a short distance from this side to this side, there's a good chance they're going to die. These act as natural wall barriers between cities. So when you're exploring the map, you need to look for them, and you can work out tactics around them. So like there's one here and another one here. I know the enemy's 99% of the time is going to come through that part there. So that would be the town that I would build my missile launcher on, and an airfield, so I can get to there as quick as possible, because I know they're coming that way. That's why you need your on-fopters to go out to find some of the base. Now your bases can protect themselves. They have 10 armor and 8 attack, and they will fire out missiles from inside it. But you need to understand, they're not designed to win fights. They're designed to hold out and last quite a long time, but the enemy will overwhelm them. But most of your towns and cities and that can last quite a while, even ones with just militia. And this is the land governing diplomacy side. Every so often, every few weeks, these will come up, and these are actually a lot more important than what you think. I didn't think they were that important. Turns out they are. If you hold all these positions up top, 1, 2, 3, 4, you get certain bonuses, plus 2 Solaria per positive water, which is awesome. However, you can also win the governorship. That is one of the ways you win the game. So you got domination, where you kill everyone on the map, and you got this one, where you have to basically own the council. Think of it like politicians. This makes you the president, whatever. So you get 100 points, which you spend on votes. Every time this council comes together, you'll have 3 edicts you have to pick from. Some of them are positive, some of them are negative. Some of them don't affect you at all. They affect other houses and don't affect you. Some of them affect everyone. You kind of got to read what they are. Alright, so at the start of the next council, gain 5 Pascrete per Comshare. Now, Comshare is a marketplace, and that's the 3rd way you win. If you own a certain amount of shares up here, when it opens, I'll show you that as well. So every time at the start of the next council, gain 5 Pascrete per Comshare. So you can buy some of them. You're going to get more Pascrete when the thing starts, if that goes through. Because people can vote for it, or they can oppose it. Military deployment completion speed is increased by 50%. So if you were being very warlike at the moment, you might vote that in. I'm not being very warlike, so I don't care if that does or doesn't. Raise relationship to truce with every other faction. That's basically a diplomacy one. Now, whoever wins that vote, it will affect that house. So I can do it so that everyone's got a truce with me, and so can all of them. Now that would be more important to me right now. I don't have shares in this. Think of shares like a banking system. So I can go for you or against you later on. So I have 100 votes now. I can put down 100 votes on this, or I can spread them around. I would advise against spreading them around. 1, it makes your initial vote weaker. 2, I don't want them anyway. So you kind of need to focus on what you want. So I've got 100 votes plus 89 other votes. That's the resource side of influence that you get. So they each get influence. These guys are, think of them like the computer, random bots. So this, if you're playing multiplayer, would also be an extra faction that you can't control. No one can control them. They just do what they do, kind of thing. But they add to the voting system anyway. So say like I put 100 points in this, and I really wanted this. I could then spend my influence, which is the 89, to increase it even more. There's 180 votes for me. House Atreides getting this. Each of them might vote on this. They might vote on that. They might vote on that one. You don't know what the house is going to do. But you've got to remember to spend influence. When I first played this, I kept forgetting to spend influence, and I lost every time in the council. And this will go against you very quickly. When these come up, you can spend 10 to bring them forward, so that it's more likely to be used in the next council. More likely they're going to bring that in. Right now I wouldn't do that, because it's just the beginning. It doesn't really matter at the moment. I'm going to vote on that, and we're going to see what happens. So I have won that vote because of the influence I used. So he had 111. So if I'd used just 100, I would have lost. I also got 16 points from these dudes, and some of these also got it. So these guys, everyone was kind of opposed to that one. So they heavily outweighed it. People really didn't want that one either. So that's part of the political side of it. there is another part of it to do with agents. That is, are your agents. Now, even though this is RTS, military war strategy, think of this like magic. This is basically what it is, magic. So this will cost me, to cast this, which would be a spy mission, would cost me 50 intelligence, intel. Once you use it, you use it. This will cost me 100 intel, plus I'd have to have one agent inside of here. This would cost me 200 gold, 200 intel, plus 2 inside of here, 2 levels. When you put an agent inside of here, that bar goes up. When it gets to the top, that increases the level. So this also gives you +1 on authority for each one of these people you have in here. The third one in each of these categories is locked. So I need to research cultural simulation in order to use that, which is in the research tree. Parallel training is needed for that one. Landstead support and com integration. So in order to lock the third ones, you always need one of the researches that goes with it. This one gives me +10 gold. This one gives me +1 influence. This gives me +1 manpower. Now, manpower and stuff like that, you shouldn't really be using these for. You should either be using these because you want other abilities, or to top up what you've got. You shouldn't be using these because you're under gold or you're under manpower, because that is a sign that you are in a lot of trouble. Now, influence and authority, I say these are the most important two for me. How you play is up to you. That's what I like about this game. Everyone plays a little bit differently. You can also put your operatives in here to increase your intel and to cast the magic of that. I'm not going to go. I'm not that good with this side of it yet, the magic side of it. I've only really used the easy ones. Now you can send your agent. Put her up there for a sec. Into spy on the other houses. When they spy on the other houses, they will give you information about what they've got, what they're doing. Now you do need to know what they are up to, depending on what the missions and that are. Because obviously, if you're going for a homogeneous victory, you need to make sure you're ahead. Or you can kill them before the end of the mission, and you ain't gonna worry about it. So you can put them in there to spy on them, or you can put them in your one as a counter agent. So when they're trying to spy on you, your agents will fight against it, basically. It's a cool little system. I like this side of it more. This side, I don't really use that much. Even though you risk getting assassinated. Oh, you can have someone trying to assassinate your dudes as well. Which, okay. But this is the main one I'll put them in. The reason being is that when it comes to these, if you look at, where is it? This one. You need an agent in here, and for it to go through at least once in order to be able to get that reward. Whereas this one, you can spend 1,000 gold, and this one you need an agent in the same spot to do that one, or you can send a military unit and get that. Now you can only use one of these, you cannot get both. So you need to decide, like some of these I'll leave till later on so that I can get them. But that's why I put my first agent in here, so that I can use them in these little bonuses. Because getting knowledge, which is research, is pretty cool. Right, so I'm going to speed along until I can get this open. Right, now this is the from market marketplace. This is the other way that can help you to achieve victory. you can buy shares for your gold, and you can also sell them. So you can buy low, sell high. So it adds like a kind of like a banking system. So if it was down to here, I'd want to buy it. So you can buy and you can sell. You have a percentage. So when you get 10%, you get +2 influence. When you get 30%, you get +100 max influence. This means you can stack the voting and that in your order a lot more easier. So the more shares of this you have, the better. But if you get it up high enough, you win the game. So that's the third way you can win. It's what I mean. Most RTSs, they say they have these systems, but it normally boils down to you build an army, you get a little bit of resources, build an army, go flatten the base. That's it. In this game, you're not going to do that because they can buy you shares, they can politically outmaneuver you, or they can straight up outfight you, and they haven't got to beat you. They've just got to hold you off from their main base. So that's the percentage I need, which is 50% of this market plus 30,000 hedge money, and be the last fat standing. They're one of the ways I can win. That's economic, diplomacy, and domination. Secondary objectives you can do, or you don't really have to if you don't want to. I'd advise you to try and get them. Some of them are a lot more hard than others. Some of them affect you a lot more than others. Now, I'm only new to this game since all the updates and that. I only played like a little bit when I first got it. I got it when it was on discount, but I knew it was one of those games I wanted to play after even just playing it for a short amount. And it only had the 4 houses, no, the 3 houses, which includes the smugglers and the freemen. Now it's got 4 houses and smugglers and the freemen. I hope they add more to it. This is a really cool game. I like it. My advice to you would be to watch videos on this game before you buy it. It is an RTS, but it is a lot deeper than that, and it's more difficult, which is one of the reasons I like it. You might not like it.
Ready.
So this isn't a game where you just grab all these towns around here and just go, oh, I'm going to rush the enemy. That's not going to happen. You need to manage your economic side, your water side, your authority side, your gold, your manpower, everything. It's more complicated. However, I found this game very relaxing, like really relaxing, because I could just watch the animations and enjoy it going at a simple pace. Speeding it up. This is the normal speed I play at 1.2.
Listening.
It's not too fast, it's not too slow. Now the sandworms in this
Taking position.
will not attack this hard rock. When you're on
Yes.
sand like that, sandworms are attracted by movement vibrations. So as you're across the sands, you don't see them just yet, but they will come up eventually. If I was to leave my guys here throughout the entire game, I'd come back and they'd be gone because they'd have been eaten by a sandworm. Same as your harvesters can get eaten, or your troops can get eaten as well. Don't want that happening. Put them on hard rock. Do not leave them on the soft sand, which I have done twice now. I've forgotten about them. And they ate my ranged units, so it's only my hand-to-hand combat units, which kind of sucks. Now you can arrange what armaments your guys have, which normally give them a positive one area, then a negative. Go with it. So they counteract each other. And other ones are flat out health bonuses and stuff like that. Some of them do need military of the knowledge tree to improve them in certain ways. So like plus minus 20 damage received to allied units at close range, minus 2 power. Because this is a support unit anyway. So it's up to you whether or not you put anything on them. You don't get that many units. But I say balance wise it's actually very balanced. The only units I say that fell off near the end of matches was when I was playing multiplayer as the Freeman. That and the fact I didn't know what I was doing at the time. But the Freemen do seem to be a bit weaker. I think it's because they're supposed to be natives. Oh, let's see. That would be a prime one. Because it's got 5. If I was to put one of those water things there, I'd get a lot more water. Right, well, that's going to be it for the review of this game. I will be trying to do a let's play for this. But you got to remember is I'm quite new to this game myself. I'd say this is the only game where you can find yourself going a different route from what you planned just by what's around you. So say like they had like one of the special areas here. That'd put my homogeneity up. So I might think, well, I can go that route now. Or I might find I'm starting to go diplomatic route because I'm winning quite a few of the council's seats. Or I might go for a dominance victory because 2 of the enemies are fighting. One's just lost, so that leaves me with 1, and he's quite close to me, so I can run across, get him, knock him out. The fact that you can play and win different ways, and you will change it while you're playing. That's the thing I like. It's not dictated to you according to what faction you are so far. I haven't come across that. I've come across houses can generally win at any of the ways of winning. Even these guys are kind of built militaristically, but they can win a diplomatic victory as well as economic one. They can do that, which is pretty cool. But that's just a look at the game, which I think this is a cool game, but I cannot stress this enough. Find out about the game, because it is, everyone says, oh, it's an RTS. It's not an RTS, it's deeper than an RTS. And I think this is one of the rare games that have got it right between different winning victories. And I'll say well done to the developers for that. It's been Pulsebeetle. Thank you for your time. Have a good day. Keep the pulse. Remember.